Live from KAIT8 TV, good neighbors you can turn to for news, weather, and sports. Tony Brooks, Diana Davis, Terry Wood, and Dick Clay. This is KAIT8 Night News.
A Bosnia-wide ceasefire apparently is still out of reach of negotiators. Talks ended with no sign of a truce agreement. Good evening, I'm Tony Brooks.
And I'm Diana Davis. Serb forces went on the offensive today, bombing what was supposed to be a safe zone, the town of Gorazda. The Serbs have now captured all the strategic points around the city and have reportedly asked Bosnian forces to surrender. Meanwhile, one of two British liaison officers wounded in today's shelling has died. The second was not seriously hurt. And in eastern Bosnia, a French reconnaissance plane was hit and slightly damaged by ground fire over Serbian positions, and there is no indication from the White House if airstrikes will be ordered against Serb forces.
U.S. officials are trying to piece together the events leading to yesterday's tragedy in the skies over Iraq. Defense Secretary William Perry says half a dozen procedures should have prevented American fighter pilots from shooting down two of their own helicopters. U.S. officials have determined the F-15 pilots tried to use an electronic system that determines if nearby aircraft are friendly or they are foes, but no friendly response was received. So American F-15s like these made two passes over the ill-fated helicopters, both times mistaking them for Iraqi aircraft. Despite Thursday's tragedy, President Clinton says the peacekeeping mission in Iraq should continue. If you still haven't filed your taxes, you're in luck.
The Jonesboro Post Office is open for those last-minute filers. To avoid penalty, tax returns must be put in the mail by midnight so they can be postmarked April 15th. Many taxpayers have waited until the last minute to get their papers together, but the Jonesboro Post Office is prepared to stay open until the last return is filed.
Anyone that doesn't get into Paragould, Walnut Ridge, Tuckerman, Truman, bring their mail on down here, and we'll take care of it for them.
And the Jonesboro office is making the burden a bit easier by providing free coffee. Now, most Region 8 post offices closed at their regular time, but for those of you in the western part of Region 8, the postmaster in Evening Shade called to say the postal window there will be open until midnight as well.
If you're upset about where your tax money is going, you're not alone. Tax opponents and lawmakers joined forces for a taxpayers' tea party in Georgia. They threw mock tea crates into the Chattahoochee River to protest higher taxes and government spending. The event is part of similar protests nationwide and is designed to call or to recall the Boston Tea Party. And if you're expecting a tax refund, you're not alone. According to the White House, President and Mrs. Clinton made nearly $294,000 in 1993. The Clintons paid nearly $62,700 to the IRS and are due a refund of nearly $8,000 because of overpayments. Last year marked the first time the president earned more than his wife, Hillary.
It wasn't the Clintons' taxes White House Chief of Staff Mac McLarty discussed today in Region 8. McLarty was keynote speaker at the annual Arkansas Business Leaders Symposium at Arkansas College in Batesville. As Jim Grayway reports, the Chief of Staff returned to Arkansas to talk about economics and other issues.
On the day we all have to bite the bullet and pay our taxes, the president's chief of staff tried to persuade these Arkansas entrepreneurs the bite doesn't have such a bad taste.
For every one of those of us who might pay something more, and I frankly think it is fair that we do, there are 16 working families who will get a tax cut.
McLarty tried to reassure these business people their higher taxes are going to help reduce the budget deficit. And as the deficit supposedly goes down, the chief of staff says the number of federal workers will also.
We are not just trying to reduce the deficit, we are reducing the size of government.
In 4 years, McLarty claims the U.S. government will have 250,000 fewer employees.
By 1998, the federal government will be smaller than it has been in 30 years.
And shifting gears to the economy, McLarty told the business leaders they will fuel the country's growth.
While government managed right can do a lot of good, the real engine of economic growth has to be the private sector.
After his speech, the chief of staff walked outside to meet with reporters. Then I asked McClarty about Whitewater and whether or not he thinks the worst of this controversy is now behind us. He says he believes there's more to come.
Oh, it will probably, from time to time, have periods of more intensity to not, but I think the basic philosophy that we're trying to follow and should be following, cooperating fully with the special counsel.
McClarty claims the American people are afraid Whitewater is keeping the president from pursuing his agenda. In Batesville, Jim Grayway, KAIT 8 Night News.
McClarty is a native Arkansan and considered to be Bill Clinton's closest friend.
It's politically popular to stress a get-tough stance on crime, but voters don't always realize the expense behind crime legislation. Congress is proposing to authorize the death penalty for 70 additional crimes. As a prosecutor in the West Memphis triple murder case, Brent Davis knows about the workload behind the appeal process where the death penalty is concerned.
Crime is one of the top issues in everybody's minds, and it's very politically popular to say you're going to get tough on crime and you're going to increase sentences, which is fine, except from a practical standpoint. I think it creates other problems that they aren't addressing.
Davis says politicians need to realize there are insufficient manpower at police departments, overloaded court dockets, and a lack of space in jails. He adds solving these problems takes more tax money, and that's not a politically popular issue in Washington. The confessed killer of Martin Luther King Jr. has won a chance to prove his innocence. James Earl Ray has been trying unsuccessfully to take back his guilty plea and go to trial since shortly after he confessed back in 1969 to murdering the civil rights leader. A judge rejected Ray's latest plea for a trial but agreed to let his lawyers question witnesses and introduce evidence to prepare an appeal of that rejection. The process won't overturn Ray's conviction, but it'll give him his first chance to compel witnesses to testify under oath.
And research now proves you should accentuate the positive. A researcher at Duke University says optimistic people diagnosed with heart disease are more likely to live than pessimists are. The findings indicate how emotions and friendships affect the ability to recover from illness. The report says when people feel they won't make it, it's usually a self-fulfilling prophecy. And beginning Monday morning, we'll give you something positive to wake up to. You'll be able to see Good Morning Region 8. Our new show will let you know what's going on in Region 8 and what you might have missed overnight. Jeff Wheeler and Brooke Thorington will be your hosts while you get ready to begin your day. Jeff will have the forecast and let you know the latest in farm news, and Good Morning Region 8 will air at 6:30 Monday through Friday, right before Good Morning America. So before you start your day, remember to watch Good Morning Region 8.
Jeff Wheeler. A lot of people wonder where Jeff Wheeler came from. Actually, he was Don Johnson's stunt double in Hollywood before he came here.
I had heard that.
That's true.
Wow.
That is true.
We're really fortunate.
Notice the resemblance there. You saw it.
Well, who could miss it?
Right.
I'm really aggravated, though.
Why?
Did you see them dumping those crates out in the Chattahoochee River a while ago?
Yeah.
What about the environmentalists?
Don't they know that?
What are they going to say about that? I wonder.
I don't know, but they're probably going to be ticked about it.
They better go back and get
Alan
them.
Jackson skis in the Chattahoochee River is kind of what I was going for before I hit a crate in the river, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look at at our radar right now. There it is. And it shows nothing at all, so I'm going to turn the thing off. Let's check out some other stuff, including our high, which was 70. See, Alan, he skis right down the Chattahoochee.
I knew where you were going there.
57 was our current temperature. It's also our new low. It's colder now than it was all of last night, and a long way to go. Record highs 93 in 1912, 32 in 1950. We had only, for all the huffing and puffing, 1900ths of an inch of rain in our gauge for today, and tonight will be clear and very, very cold with a low of 42. And there I go, right?
Yeah, there you go. You know, Alan hit one of those crates.
Yep.
We have to reel you back in.
Yeah. Thanks, Terry.
Well, you may not want to do what one woman did to get her kids to read. When Night News continues, you'll see she has an idea that'll make you squirm.
But first, Mother Nature socks it to parts of the country.
You're watching KAIT 8 Night News. Good neighbors you can turn to.
The two sides agreed to direct talks amid continuing fighting in Rwanda.
But no one's sure what it will take to end ethnic violence. The chaos begins tonight's news from around our world. Thousands of people are still fleeing violence in Rwanda, while thousands more remain in hiding with little or no food. UN officials are hoping for a ceasefire as the government and the Rwandan rebels have agreed to direct talks. However, the bloody fighting for control of Rwanda's capital continues to rage on. And the whole city of San Antonio is gearing up for a big party called Fiesta. An official kickoff ceremony began this morning at the Alamo, and events are scheduled to run for 10 days.
Tornadoes touched down in 4 states in the Ohio Valley, killing at least 3 people and leaving several others injured. A 34-year-old woman died when the high winds knocked her family's mobile home over onto her as she and her brother ran from the structure for safety in Hardin County in western Kentucky. ABC's Bob Schmidt has more.
Tornadoes that spun out of a severe thunderstorm system were blamed for killing several people in Kentucky and Tennessee. This mall in Bowling Green, Kentucky, was damaged by violent weather that spread destruction throughout the city's business district.
The rain started pretty heavily, and the next thing I knew, it came over the building, and the pressure was amazing. It kept getting louder and louder. The windows were rattling, and the next thing I know, I looked up and things were flying all through the air.
There was thunder and lightning and rain, and suddenly a noise like a freight train, the warning that you're always supposed to notice, and the sky got dark, and I just said, I have to go to the basement, and ran.
The winds that roared through Valmeyer, Illinois, were strong enough to topple 15 cars of a freight train from the tracks. A strong cold front pushing eastward has led to widespread weather problems from the Great Lakes to the Gulf Coast. In Illinois and Missouri, high winds caused scattered damage, but the main problem facing Midwesterners is flooding. In some areas, like southern Illinois, levees have broken. Hundreds of people who live in low-lying areas have been forced to flee their homes. But officials say they don't think the Midwest is in for the same pattern of relentless rainfall that led to last summer's devastating floods. The forecast is for mostly dry weather in mid-America over the weekend. Bob Schmidt, ABC News.
So we were very lucky here when
Absolutely. The front came through when it was extremely cool this morning, and that spared us a lot of intense storms. There were some confirmed tornadoes touching down near Arbor and over Steele, Missouri.
Right.
Folks think they saw one down around Wynne, Arkansas early this afternoon, and definitely some heavy thunderstorms. That's all behind us now, and we're going to see a clear, cool night tonight, but followed by a beautiful weekend, and we'll talk about that more after you see River Stages and a couple of really important commercials. Way down yonder on the Chattahoochee. Watch out for those crates, or they're really Gucci. Is the new way that song is going. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Let's take a look at our photograph. Peach Blossom from Brenda Parker. Charlotte. They had some scary times up around Charlotte this morning. Matter of fact, all across the southern Ozarks, those thunderstorms moved in shortly after sunup, and a couple hours it was kind of touch and go, and awfully scary moments for some of those folks up there. And it is 57 here now, which means it's probably closer to 50 up around Charlotte, Arkansas, where it could even possibly drop into the 30s tonight for overnight lows. The barometer is rising. It is at 30.07, the humidity at 53%, and the wind from the northwest at 8 miles an hour. With clear skies, a rising barometer. If that wind dies down, the Mr. Frost could, again, rear his ugly head in the southern Ozarks for tonight on some of those pretty peach blossoms. And the radar will indicate no precipitation anywhere in Region 8 at this time, and shouldn't for the next 5 days. Temperatures are going to drop into the low 40s for sure, probably even a few instances of upper 30s, places like Willow Springs, but the high tomorrow will rebound nicely into the low 70s. Matter of fact, temperature could be 1 or 2 degrees above normal for Saturday, and for a beautiful sunny weekend, that is somewhat rare this spring. Here's a look at the national low pattern with a wide range of 40s from northern Missouri through central Arkansas. Tomorrow's highs will swell easily into the 70s, and we could see 80s by Sunday, more likely Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. Extremely warm and dry weather is going to settle in for a few days. There's the line of thunderstorms that moved through. This about daybreak today. As the loop continues, the system kind of spread out and dropped more general rain farther to the east, but a couple of instances of strong storms there in western Kentucky, as we showed you earlier in the news. Behind this system, several days of sunny weather. The next front is well off the west coast, moving slowly.
So we should get in a good weekend and even a couple of days to boot. Now, early today, that front entered northwest Arkansas about daybreak, but by early afternoon had moved on east of the Mississippi. The sunshine came out for most of Region 8 early in the afternoon and all over the tri-state area before sunset today. By tomorrow, the front will be to the east of us. We should have a mostly sunny day, a beautiful Saturday. Now, the wind might be out of the north tomorrow, which could hold the temperatures down just a little bit. We'll make it up to 75, and that's not half bad. On Sunday, clear skies, sunshine. This high will move slowly toward the east, taking the cool weather with it, and warm southerly winds should push us up to around 80 degrees early into next week. No, thank you. I gave it the office. Let's take a look at... They're passing the hat while I'm fair and cold tonight with an overnight low of 42 degrees. They're trying to get me to drink something for my throat, which is obviously bad, but I'm not going to drink it. There's no telling what's in there. It's going to be beautiful tomorrow, a high of 75, a low of 42. That's what it is. Springtime on Sunday, a high of 78, a low of 53. And our extended forecast, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you can't ask for much more than that. In late April, 80s for highs, upper 50s to about 60 for nighttime lows. You know, thinking about that Happy Talk segment a while ago, you know, every 82 years the Titanic goes down, and tonight we were on it, I think.
This half of the desk was.
That's right.
It's tough. But you recovered very well.
Thanks, Terry. Constant participation and discipline are usually terms associated with sports.
Dr. Red Duke explains their terms vital to diabetics.
I'm Dr. Red Duke. Diabetics have to participate daily in their own care.
In business news, the Dow Industrial slipped today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down nearly 2 points. One bright spot was oil stocks, which rose in reaction to a run-up in oil prices.
Diabetes afflicts many different types of people. Dr. Red Duke introduces you to one man who works hard to control his blood sugar.
No, we're talking about the rain today, but the weather cleared in time to play some baseball.
It was Jonesboro playing host to Cabot. Dick Clay says it was a baseball barn burner. He'll have highlights next in sports.
Okay, we're going to settle down here in a minute. Go on
Friday.
to sports.
We've been having too
Is
much
it my
fun.
turn?
It's your turn, Dickie.
I'll try to get by. I got a little tickle in my throat, too. The Clouds parted just in time to get an inning or two of high school baseball in around the area. Here in Jonesboro, the Hurricane welcomed the Cabot Panthers to town. Now, Woodland Field, the place this afternoon, and the Hurricane didn't take long to get on the board. Bottom of the first, Zach and Zane show. Zane with a double, as his brother Zach rounds the bases to make it 1-0. Jonesboro, bottom of the second now. Phillip Way, right out, a single up center. Another run comes in to make it 2-0. The Panthers rallied in the third. Brandon Burton's going to wrap one around third and down the corner. Cabot would go on to tie this ball game 3 apiece. The Hurricane, though, would get in another run in the fourth inning as Zach Painter bangs one off the net and right. Phillip Way makes it 4-3. The Panthers struck for 4 runs in the bottom of the seventh. A baseball barn burner. The final score was 9-8 Cabot. Major League Baseball is getting ready for our weekend with a full schedule of games tonight. Some of the matchups getting a late start on the West Coast. Let's check the scoreboard. The Braves killed the Cubs. I mean, sure enough, 19-5 this afternoon. The Giants shut out Florida 6-0. The Phillies nipped the Reds 3-1. Pittsburgh 6-4 over the Dodgers. Houston rolled over the Mets 8-1. The Cardinals had a 9-2 lead over the Padres late in that ball game. Could be a final. And in the sixth, the Rockies had a 3-0 lead over Montreal. Over in the American League, the Yankees with a 6-3 lead over the Tigers. In the ninth inning, Kansas City defeated the Indians 2-1. It was Boston over Chicago 5-3. And in the sixth, the Rangers had a 2-1 lead over the Orioles. The final chapter of the Hog Wild celebration of the Razorbacks' phenomenal basketball season happened this afternoon in the capital city. Thousands of banner-waving, hog-calling Arkansans turned out to relive the moment one more time at a parade to celebrate the Razorbacks' NCAA basketball championships. Adoring fans, most decked in Razorback red and white, and others still in work uniforms for the afternoon celebration, lined the parade route along the Capitol Avenue to catch a glimpse of the Razorbacks. Hundreds surged to the streets for a handshake or a hug from the heroes. Crowd favorite Corliss Williamson of Russellville said it was great to bring the championship home to Arkansas. Guard Corey Beck donned a cap that said, with a message, 76-72. Any questions? And that's a reference to the Razorbacks' victory over Duke on April 4th in that championship game, as well as the lack of respect Coach Nolan Richardson and the team felt they got during the season and the NCAA tournament. A reminder to Region 8 high school football coaches, all of you are invited to the second annual get-together with the ASU coaches tomorrow morning. Plans are to watch that morning scrimmage. It starts about 10:30, then talk some football, go to lunch, talk some more football. And Coach Bobo says it's an informal affair, and there'll be a lot of chalk talk and exchanging ideas going on. Just show up there in the morning, you high school coaches. The Arkansas State golf team seems to be peaking at the right time this season. Both the men's and the women's teams coming on strong as they head into that Sun Belt Conference Championship next week in Nashville, Tennessee. The ladies have been shooting great as of late. Freshman Alicia Warren and freshman Lindy Donnelly have helped lead ASU to a surprising record this year. A-State took last week's Lady Topper Invitational at Western Kentucky and hope the momentum doesn't stop there for the team made entirely of freshmen and sophomores.
We're on a roll now, and that's a lot better going into a tournament, you know, when you got something going for you. And, you know, I hope I'm not saying that we're going to win it because we're playing mostly freshmen and sophomores, but when we get there, our talk will be, hey, you know, let's turn it loose. Let's go for it.
Now, what about the men? They've been paced by a number of players, including David Fault and Mike Catton, who shot a 68 last week in that Blazer Classic in Birmingham. The men took second in that tournament. The conference tournament starts Monday the 18th. Good luck, Indians. Now, with the breeze taking much of the day off on Hilton Head Island, David Frost soared to a course record 61 and the halfway lead at the Heritage Classic. A round of 10 birdies helped give Frost a two-round total of 11 under par, 131, just ahead of Jim McGovern. Larry Mize, Greg Norman, and Hale Irwin are next at 133, 2 strokes back. Frost has played well at Harbortown, finishing second to Norman in 1988 and to David Edwards last year. Now, Ray Floyd and Larry Mowry emerged as the halfway leaders in the windy PGA Seniors Championship in Florida. Jack Nicklaus, Dave Stockton, and Jim Colbert all blew leads over that windswept finishing holes of the PGA National Golf Club. Floyd finished with a 69 and stands tied at 138, 6 under par with Mowry, who won this event in 1989. Colbert, Stockton, and Lee Trevino share second at 139, 1 shot back. And I wish that's where I was right now, 1 shot back.
Not bad.
Thanks, Dick.
Well, would you want to eat an earthworm?
Well, when we come back, you'll find out why one woman loved the idea. And finally tonight, a Hollywood, California elementary school principal fulfilled the promise she made to students. The kids agreed to read at least 2 books this semester, and her promise to eat a live worm. Today she came through, and she then issued another challenge to keep the kids reading. Each year the school sponsors a Reading is Fundamental project. Now there's no word if the meal was a real bookworm. Oh.
Terry knows about worms. He's eaten his share.
We had those worm cookies that
That's
time.
right.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Y'all pawned off on me as chocolate chips.
They were good, yeah.
So those are the longest little chocolate chips I've ever seen.
Oh, we left them in the newsroom, though, and let everyone from the sales department come down and have...
Right. Have all they want. Sneak all they want. Well, see, after you guys slipped me worm cookies, I'm not about to drink one of ever in that cup here, Jerry.
You got a point there. I don't blame you.
But we were just looking out for you. Really, that's just water.
Good. Appreciate that.
We care.
Yeah. Do we ever have to close tonight? Or got like lots of time.
You want some?
30 seconds. That can be an eternity. Sunny and cool in the morning. It's going to get down to about low 40s tonight. It'll be 52 at 8 o'clock in the morning, but hang in there. By 10 o'clock, the temperature will be in the high 60s, and we'll peak around 75 degrees. A fair, warm, absolutely beautiful Saturday and Sunday. Hope everybody drives carefully and has a great weekend.
Something else, we hope everyone gets up early on Monday morning and watches Good Morning Region 8.
That's right. It's going to be
a hit.
It
starts 6:30, goes to 7 o'clock, and then Good Morning America.
It's going to be a good show. Join us for that. That's all the time we have for now. Nightline is coming up next.
Have a great weekend. Good night.
Good night.
KAIT 8 Night News.